Hi, Dennis. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Amar?
I'm
Nice to
fine.
see
Thank you
you.
very much. Yeah, same here. I know you just came back from Las Vegas, ICRS. So many, meeting so many people. How was it?
It was great. Lots of energy. Another great show. It was over 1,000 attendees this year, beating last year's sort of record. So it was really nice. You really feel the energy in the room. You really feel the engaged conversation, starting from the reception, from the very first day, to all the educational series, to the keynote speaker, to the exhibit hall, and kind of meeting with customers, meeting with partners, and really learning about the latest and greatest going on in our industry. And I really appreciate the format, and I appreciate this conference that it basically is coming up every year, and I really enjoy that.
No, absolutely. I was in ICRS last year and it was fantastic, meeting so many people and, among the panel as well. I was on the closing keynote panel, met so many people even after that. And it was fascinating because it's a great mix of car rental company owners, the technology organizations, and then great keynote speakers, people who have been in the industry, veterans, and all from different sorts of places in the US and of course around the world. So it's fantastic. So Dennis, coming back to your story, your profile is fantastic, all the way from the Ericsson days. Now you are the founder of your company. So tell me, how was it like, from this journey from all the way from the Ericsson days and now in tollaid.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful journey, I have to say. I started my job pretty boring out of college, working for an internship with a huge company like Ericsson. And I sort of learned my way and sort of learned a lot of things, starting from an engineering testing engineer to a lot of different positions in leadership positions in the company. And I'm all but like grateful for that
Right.
experience
Yeah.
in such a telecommunications giant. But at the same time, I always had this itch for doing something more personal, more engaging, more a little bit different that you don't get from a large company. And that's really where maybe I wouldn't say the calling for tollaid was, or doing this is because trying to get all that learning of over 15 years in a corporate and actually adapting it to a small medium business, to a growing business that in a different way that I would say has a lot more impact because by combining both of them. There are a lot of times that I wish we could have done things faster in Ericsson and we couldn't do it. And now I'm like, we can do that, right? And there's a lot of times when I think, oh, how would we approach this new thing? And I know that some of the Ericsson learnings come into play and say, oh yeah, that's how we should fix that process. So I see the good, the bad, and the ugly on sort of both sides, and I'm just trying to navigate the best for us.
I think that's very interesting because when you're working in a very big company, right, and when you, let's say, resign and you want to change course and you want to start your own business, I think the mindset also changes, right, as a founder, because before you were not a founder, you were working in a big organization, you were a very small piece of the puzzle, for example, which was always replaceable, right? And then you start your own business. How was the early days of the shift of this transition? Was it easy?
I would say it was not very easy, but at the same time was a little bit lucky. And I think that always comes with a play. We had some very good customers early on the dealership space, not on the rental car space. As we
Right.
started from local dealership customers that trusted us, that trusted me and trusted the team. That I thought it was amazing. People that gave us a contract um, comparable to another large company, a huge company, and we actually got the contract instead of them. And I thought that was impressive. That there were, we actually got the trust of these people, and how now to continue this trust that we built. And that to me was more pressure than anything. It's like we got this deal. How do we make sure we don't fail? And then it's sort of because of that, my mind wasn't thinking too much about the transition on how to do it, but how to make these customers happy, right? How to be, and I don't want to overuse the word customer obsession, but how to make sure that we serve them the right way.
Right.
And at that point, Tollgate had to take a different level in terms of expansion, and we had to do that. And that transition sort of, I wouldn't say happened overnight, but pretty rapidly because I was waking up and I was going to bed thinking about solving these problems, and I said, well, this got to be the way to go.
No, I completely understand. And I would imagine that, toll reconciliation, I think, is one of those biggest problems. If someone is doing it manually, for example, it's not easy, right? So when was the moment when you realized that this is such a big problem and toll aid is the solution? And why the name toll aid? How the name came along?
I'll answer that first. I mean, I used to spend some years in Cleveland, Ohio, and they used to have this pharmacy shop called Rite Aid. And I always thought it was interesting. And I thought, hey, this could be kind of a pill for your headache, right? For your problems that you have. And really, it is complex, right? And we initially approached the problem in a way that let's solve it with a little bit of automation. And what we realized is that the little automation was not the right fit because there's already a lot of manual steps that people perform when you actually get a vehicle, when you rent a vehicle, when you loan a vehicle. There's already too many buttons to click. Adding three more on our side was not helping. And that's when we realized that integration with our ecosystem partners was key to make this essentially a seamless experience. And we started from the fact that we collect this information directly from the booking systems, and then all the way to the charging systems. And I think that that part of solving the whole problem and not just pieces of the problem was key. But then, of course, I always think is a three-pronged approach. Is a three-pronged approach is essentially is the technology. There's the processes and there's the people, and not one of them, or sometimes even money, right? But not one of them can solve it. You can throw people at the problems, and you would not actually solve it accurately, because I know customers who did. You can throw technology at the problem and really just over-engineer something, and it just becomes its own thing, right? Rather than serving for you for the purpose. And you
Right.
can be really process oriented, and a lot of larger companies are very process oriented, and they can bog you down because you can just be hyper focused on one of those things, and some others just throw money at the problem, and maybe that solves it, but usually doesn't find the solution, right? It just gets you more comfortable in a short run, but not necessarily in the mid to long
Yeah,
term.
absolutely. And that's understandable because many companies would want to automate so many things and avoid the, let's say, human intervention, in all those things. And I think when you use tollate effectively in your application and in the connectivity, you can have the toll reconciliation almost in almost automated manner, I would imagine, right? And
Correct.
and and in all this journey, right? You mentioned when you started, you were lucky, you had contracts, customers, giving you a chance, and then of course you were looking forward to make them happy and have this long-term relationship, which I'm sure you still have for sure. So,
Yes.
was there any moment when you felt like, oh my God, this is just so challenging. I was better off, in Ericsson, or like, were there any moments of saying, oh, MG, I must, just go back, or how was it?
I mean, it comes and goes, right? There's waves of those things. And I think, I don't think it ever goes away. There are times when you're triple booked somewhere, and you have to give people the same time and the same level of engagement, and you just can't do it. There are times when, being a smaller company, we wear many hats, right? And that's
Yes.
the part that I said, oh, I wish somebody could take care of this. Sometimes an expense report approval,
Oh,
right?
right.
But I wish
Yes,
somebody
yes,
could take
yes,
care of some of these
yes.
payroll issues, some of the, and I'm not saying those are important things, but it just sometimes you wish you had that engine
Yes.
behind to kind of support, right? Um, but overall, I think it comes with the joy of actually being provider for others, being for the consumers, for the end consumer, for the actual driver who's driving this vehicle and using these tolls, to our customers, the rental car companies or the dealerships, and to our employees, right? That actually are feeling engaged and being part of this journey. So, yeah, I would say it comes and goes, Amar. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever be comfortable. I think the problem is I was a little bit spoiled by experiencing both worlds. Sometimes it's better
Yes.
not to know, you know. You just stay in your course, and then you never, you're good, you're happy go lucky,
No, absolutely. Talking about happy-go-lucky. So the question is, how did you fund this company? Is it completely bootstrapped? Have you raised any funding? How has it been in terms of the funding cycle?
So initially, like that, initially bootstrapped, and then we have some funding. Private, it's a privately held company, but the idea has been for us to not be, and maybe I'm wrong here, but not be a flashy startup. Not have the bean bang off, the big, the bean bang offices and the little ping pong tables. We are a virtually, hybrid
Right.
company. We
Okay.
hired people across the U.S. and international, so we
Of
have
course.
teams outside the U.S. as well. And it just happened that COVID was in the middle when we were growing, and
I see.
that sort of was the reason of us connecting virtually more than connecting in the office. So making that sort of hybrid first or virtual first environment has been, I would say, not necessarily, has been natural for us. Sometimes I wish everybody was in the same room, but I think we collaborate very well via mediums like this, like Zoom and whiteboarding and so on. But it really is different in terms of the previous experience of an office only
No,
company.
yes, of course. I can imagine because if you have all, remote team or, hybrid teams, for example, I think you meet often like once in a month or twice in a month, have your retreat, bond, gel together, and then you go back to your desk and, start working for the company. Yeah, we also, have similar approach. We do have people, in-house, but, we have, very hybrid, team membership. So talking about the COVID-19 period, you have mentioned that the COVID was the time when you really embraced this virtual working style, and you had to, there was no choice. Was it any difficult time in terms of revenues? Did it impact your business, or because you are a digital transformer in a way, did it grow like Zoom, or how was it?
So we did see a 30% to 35% drop in the April of 2020
I
as
see.
everybody sort of
Yes.
completely not using
Yes.
the services, right?
Yes.
But surprisingly was not zero, right?
Okay.
So people were still using the service, whoever needed to. There were obviously having a lot of business in Texas helped us because different states had different kind of ways of dealing with COVID. So that helped us, but at the same time, we had started back then, and I think it was a little bit of a blessing because when you start from nothing, you're used to nothing. So I know that our other companies had a very much bigger challenge than we had. The biggest issue was that really we were just we were hiring people that we had never met in person, and working with people. Actually, I worked a couple cycles with at least 4 or 5 engineers that came to the company and now are in different companies. And so they came and went, and we never met. I feel
Oh,
like
wow. Okay.
that
Wow.
that in a way it was interesting, or we met briefly. I would say maybe once. That was a weird feeling, right? Especially coming from my previous job when I people were very proud of meeting in
Yes. Yes.
person and
Absolutely.
traveling.
Absolutely.
But
So
it was
coming
it was
back
definitely
to
definitely interesting.
so coming back to the people, right? So of course, you have remote teams, and they're working for you and doing all this together. That's perfectly fine, and it's growing, as it looks like. As a founder, how do you hire people? Is it the vibe? Is it the sixth sense, or just the CV, or just the answers that they give you in the Zoom? They have a night, they have a lucky day. How is it?
A little bit of both. We do take, I mean, we do take a structured approach. Coming as an engineering background,
Yes.
we have some technology questions, especially on the technology front. On the side, we got to be more particular for those kind of heavy tech capabilities. And then once they go through a couple of rounds of that, then we go into a little bit more of an interaction, and that's why I take a little bit more of a front role where I have that sense that you're talking about in the case of, where have you been, where you want to go, and where are you now, right?
Yes.
Including the current conversation. And maybe just a little bit of experience, a little bit of luck. We've been okay. Obviously, there's been some hiccups, but but overall, I think we've been able to attract some very good talent, and I think we're very proud of that. Same thing goes for our marketing team, our sales team. It really is the fact of researching the person a
Yeah.
little bit, understanding what we provide, and really, I don't never want to oversell what we have. If you want to work for Google, you'll have a much different experience, right? If you want to work for another large technology company, it will be, you'll get this, but what you get from us is different. It's I would say a little bit more a work-life balance, a little bit more flexibility, and also just the idea that we're working on this reinventing, I would say, this toll management at a completely, at a cloud-based latest technology. And if people are not inspired by that, then maybe we're not a good fit. But if you love this stuff and it kind of makes you happy, then let's talk.
No, I completely agree with you because it is very important that people that you hire, whether they are on site or remotely, they buy into the vision, they understand, what we do, and for example, how important it is for the end consumer. It's going to change their life for better. It will add more value, for them. I think that's very, very important. Dennis, there's a question that I have always, that people ask around me, my founders around me in London, in Cardiff, in all these places out of US. There's a big attraction towards this American dream still. Many of the tech founders believe that if they move to America, let's say to Silicon Valley or Seattle or similar places, their life will change. There's this American tech company culture thing, right? And there's this fundraising and how media sold the American dream to us. It looks very,
Mm.
very attractive, very beautiful, very sexy in it. So as a founder, as a person who worked in America on so many different roles, worked for a very big organization many years ago, right? And now you are running your own startup, right? Tell me what you are able to do now that you would not be able to do if you were not in America. What is this American added value, when it comes to a founder business? What's this American openness? Please give me some overview of that.
I would say, in my mind, is the ease of starting the business.
I see.
To me, it's much easier, less complex. At least I know in Texas, and some other states that we have presence in. Like,
Right.
we basically, for legal reasons, it's super easy for us to do that. You can do it in Delaware. You can have someone help you. You can do it yourself. You can do both, right? We have our legal team
Of
help us with
course.
that, but it's not very difficult, right? It's understood. The other part is, I would say, a mature economy, a
I
mature
see.
system. I think it's really important for that, because to grow your business, you can't just be collecting cash from
Yes.
door to door or trying to figure out some. That innovation is there in the fintech world, at least in the U.S., and but it's also parts of it in Europe. But I just feel it's a lot more embraced in the United States when
Of
it comes
course.
to that transition. So you can actually become profitable, I believe, sooner. The outreach, the fact that while having a state but having a United States, really makes a difference in your impact. We went from local to nationwide in a span of 20 months, right?
I see.
And we
Wow.
did that. And I don't know if we could have done that in any other region of the world so fast. Then the sheer amount of business that is here, the sheer amount of, like, how large the economy is, that there is room for everybody's. There's pie for everyone, you could almost say. And I think that's what it kind of makes it a little bit. I also do not subscribe 100% on being part of Silicon Valley to be creative. It's like being part of Hollywood to be a good actor.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
think you can do that, especially in today's connected world. You can do that from anywhere. You can be at least in our industries, you can make a difference. It doesn't matter if you're physically there. But I do see that culture and the innovation and a way of thinking, at least be connected, if not personally, virtually, is very important. Because I used to work in London for some time, and Sweden as well. And I can tell that it's not in Germany, and I can tell the um, it's not about that people are very different. It's about the risk taking and how
Right.
risk is actually frowned upon. I shouldn't say frowned upon, but it could be frowned upon in some part of the world, like in Europe,
Yes.
whereas
Yes.
here is embraced. You make a mistake, you're almost happy that you did. People are happy that you made a mistake. Whereas if you do this in, let's say, in the UK, people will be like, whoa, how dare, how this is how this happened to you. So I think that approach to the world, and that goes from the way kids are grown up and how they think to the way that it's done here. It's what makes the difference, I think, at least from a startup and founder perspective.
Right. I understand. And also one more thing, you mentioned that you have grown nationwide in America in 20 months, right? And I was coming across this one case study where it says, don't look at America as one country, it's 50 countries or it's 50 states. Is it difficult to expand from one state to another? Laws are changing. Is it impacting you as a company based in Texas, for example, versus a company based in Florida? I'm just giving an example here, right? How does it work from state to state, or as a tech company that doesn't matter?
So yes and no. I would say, and the easy part is, we're everywhere. We can serve the whole country, right? That is the easy
Right,
part, that people can reach us because we are digital. We don't
of
have
course,
a shop.
of course.
However, the laws are different, especially in the rental business when the privacy laws are different. In our business in tolling, our tolls are very different. In some jurisdictions, they're able to hold your registration for your vehicle if you don't pay your toll. In some
All right.
others, you don't
Yeah.
have that. Some you actually have your car booted. So some actually have just a one-time, it's a couple time fees of $10, $5, $10 for the tolls. In California, it's $100 that you pay. In New Jersey, it's 50. So keeping up with all those changes and how that can impact your business is truly important, and I think that's where the complexity come in place. But you have the right to, and I think the ease of access is there, but you got to read, and I think that is the part that you got to have a good team behind you, from a legal perspective, but also from a business perspective, to understand where should you start, and that's how we started in Texas and Florida in the beginning. That sort of was our expansion plan, and then we started with the Northeast and then finishing up into West, because starting with California did make business sense for us due to all the unknowns that we had about the California privacy laws and how things will impact. So I think know your state, know the local, because it's not the same. And we got to be careful, especially in with the data and the consumers' data and the privacy and all those things that are becoming more and more important as digitalization is so ubiquitous that everybody takes it for granted and they just click on buttons. And
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I think that is key. That is key.
That is fascinating. Thank you for, for this insight. So Dennis, I would like to, conclude our podcast on this very important question, for the founders, right? So who are looking forward to entering the US market or, breaking into US and building something or starting a tech, startup, let's say in Silicon Valley or anywhere else, right? So what's your advice, being a, being such a seasoned, professional and entrepreneur, what's your advice, for the people who are looking to come into the US and open it here? They can be from Britain, from Europe. So what exactly are the first, let's say, first or second or three things that they should consider?
I would say, first of all, it's a wonderful place to do business, and I think that's something that it really impacts how you work and you approach. You also have a lot of working. I would say, especially in our space, you have some very interesting and I would say technology focused and uh, people that are really really interested in looking at what the next thing is
All right.
and
Yes.
future focus. So
Yes.
there is a lot of that in the business that you can extract from and learn from. There's also lots of problems that need to be solved, and I think that to me is excitement. because you see, and especially when you talk to the clients and the customers and their clients and the problems they're trying to solve, you see that the it's not it's a complex thing, that maybe there's a way for people to solve issues. And I think that is the part that is exciting. The other part is the connectivity piece of it, that you can actually do business from state from coast to coast, and
Right.
maybe
Yes.
something that you tried in one area maybe didn't work, you can pick
Yes.
up and go and try it somewhere else, not
Yes.
even physically but also digitally, right? So
Yes.
that part is important. And I also think the small medium businesses make up for a huge part of American um, GDP and Americans sort of economy. And I think people often forget that it is a lot of companies, medium companies, that are driving the economy of the United States. And to be part of that, I think is very exciting. And especially the digital transformation, where I believe, the large companies already tried or are in the middle of doing digital transformation. I think there's so many companies in the middle that are in that journey right now, or are wanting to take that journey. And I think that brings a lot of opportunities.
That's incredible. So Dennis, what you are saying is that there's a huge opportunity in a place like America, and American dream is not going anywhere. It's still here, and people can come in as entrepreneurs, founders, and they can actually start a business. And of course, anywhere, you'll find some kind of difficulty in the beginning, but once you understand how it works, America is a place that will really embrace you, and you can really grow fast, right?
Absolutely. I think you can certainly do that, and work with the best, and I think you learn from that, and also have a global reach, right? I think that is the part that is amazing, especially coming from outside the US, and you have the global reach back into your old connections, your home countries. You can actually make 1+1 = 3 much better than someone who actually worked in a different country and stayed there, or someone who is American and stayed in America. I think the bridging of the communities is really advancing how we as a society are growing and are advancing.
Great, Dennis. Thank you very much for your tips. Do you want to give one last advice to any founder, any entrepreneur, who's listening to this podcast? What would it be?
I would say follow your heart. I did it a little bit later. I should have done it a little bit sooner, I would say, just things that are good. But I also believe that make sure that you are don't get discouraged when things don't work in the beginning, but also don't dwell too long, because that's the other thing. If you realize that this is not going anywhere, then just, I would say fail fast, but not too fast. So that's my advice, I would say. I think it's a combination. Some people, I don't read too many books. I think everybody reads so many books. Follow your dream, follow who you are, and believe in who you are, rather than try to be who you aren't and other people want you to be. I think that's the most important part that you need to focus on
That is
as a
really, really
person.
beautiful, Dennis. Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely. Fail fast, but not too fast, and follow your heart. That's absolutely beautiful, Dennis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Omar. Appreciate you.